Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. In today's video, we're going to be discussing Enzo Maresca's pre-match comments. Not only that, we have updates regarding Josh Acheampong, Andrey Santos, Joao Felix, Emiliano Martinez, and Chelsea have had a bid rejected for a Premier League player. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10K by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, Enzo Maresca spoke about Andrey Santos. Kieran Gill has reported that Enzo Maresca says that he sees Andrey Santos as more of an Enzo Fernandez type of player rather than a Moises Caicedo. He sees him as more an attacking than defensive minded, adds that he needs time to get to grips with his tactics. And to be fair, I think a lot of Chelsea fans can view Andrey Santos in this manner. It was kind of reported that Andrey Santos was going to compete for Lavia in that first team spot in terms of the rotation and the pecking order, but realistically Andrey Santos is more of an Enzo Fernandez type player. And this is where there's a bit of a divide within the Chelsea fan base, because a lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, were demanding to see Andrey Santos get some minutes so we can finally see what type of player he is now he's had his development and where he sits in Chelsea's pecking order. And look, I totally agree with that. However, when you look at our current starting 11 with Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, it's going to take a lot for Andrey Santos to come in and knock Enzo Fernandez out of that pecking order. Enzo Fernandez is our vice captain and most times is the captain when Reece James isn't on the pitch. He's a very integral part of that midfield. Now, we are very blessed now that we do have the likes of Andrey Santos and Asugo and Lavia who can rotate with Caicedo and Fernandez and sometimes play with them depending on how Enzo Maresca sets the team up. But I don't think that Andrey Santos' goal this year, or the expectation Chelsea fans should have, is he's a constant first 11 starter. Because I think that's a bit unfair on one, Enzo Fernandez, because that's who he would be replacing in the starting 11, and two, on Andrey Santos. He's had an incredible development season, but he does need to adjust to Enzo Maresca's tactics, the Premier League, everything that goes about coming back from being on loan. And then to expect him to knock someone like Enzo Fernandez out of that midfield consistently, I mean, look, it could happen. It could happen if Andrey Santos goes in an incredible run of form every time he gets given his opportunity, scoring goals, assisting goals, and it becomes a vital part of that midfield, which I feel like he will be with his role, like sort of rotation role and squad player role that he will fill this season, then great. I've got no issue with that, because performance, is the number one thing we want from our players, right? But to expect that Andrey Santos plays consistently and is part of that first 11, I think is a little bit unfair, purely because of the type of player that Maresca profiles him at and how he sees him within that squad. Yes, he needs to adapt. I totally agree. Very, very excited for Andrey Santos to be kept by Chelsea and to play this season, because he will get many, many minutes across the season. Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, Premier League. There are lots of competitions where he can get them minutes in. So I don't feel disappointed, or I don't feel like let down by Andrey Santos not getting as many minutes, because he will get his opportunity and he will take those opportunities. I am very confident of that, because he is an incredible player. And Chelsea have batted away a lot of the interest of Andrey Santos, which we will speak about later on in this video, but I totally agree with what Enzo Maresca is saying right there. Be very curious to know your thoughts down below. Maresca then spoke about Josh Acheampong, and he said the clubs that you mentioned, Dortmund and Newcastle, they like Josh, but we like Josh. My plan with him is quite clear: stay. And I'm very glad that he's come out and said this. There's one thing about the Chelsea board that, we have all these briefings, these brown envelopes and all these ridiculous reports. We're linked with everyone that can kick a football. I get it. It allows me to make daily Chelsea content and have conversations with you guys. I'm grateful in that sense, right? But it can get very frustrating. You're just churning out the same sort of thing, and we want to see more concrete things happening. The one thing I will actually give the board and the owners credit for is when something gets posted or reported or briefed and they completely disagree or disregard it, they come out nearly instantly and squash that. They don't want that rumour growing and growing and growing. They do come out and say, this ain't happening. And I do respect that. But I'm glad that Maresca publicly said, Josh is part of the plans. He's an important player. We want him to stay. We want him to be playing for us, because honestly, this guy is an absolute gem. He can play anywhere that Maresca puts him. Defensive midfield, left back, right back, centre back. Absolutely bosses it. A player that young with his skill set, and that, what he's got in his wheelhouse, the way he plays with all that experience, that he's so young, but he plays like a player that's like 24, 25 and been doing it day in, day out, week in, week out. He's just class. But I'd love to know your thoughts down below about Josh Acheampong. Are you happy that Chelsea want to keep him? Are you glad that Maresca has come out publicly and said he is part of our plans, we want him to stay? Or do you feel like a loan move could be a good option for him this season? Enzo Maresca then spoke about Trevor Chalobah's future, and this is reported by Ben Jacobs. He said, "All the players with us, I don't want to lose them. But when the window is open, anything can happen. He helped us get top 4 spot, and we are happy with Trev. But anything can happen for any of the 25 players in our squad." Now, and again, a lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, we want to keep Trevor Chalobah. He is such a good defender. He bleeds blue. He's amazing. He's a rock. He's not perfect, of course. No player is that we have. But he has helped us on many times win trophies, get over the line in tough games. He's got that experience of playing in the Premier League and knowing what it takes to win trophies in Chelsea, like Chelsea's 11. This guy won the Champions League, the Super Cup under Tuchel. He is just such an incredible professional that he just gets on with it. And I'm glad that Maresca said, look, we are really happy with Chalobah. I'm glad that the board have seemingly made this U-turn by recalling him off of his loan deal in January, because we were like, oh, we were actually really thin in the centre-back option. We'll bring Trevor back. He's been really great. And even they're saying we don't want to sell him. We will listen to offers if they're, good offers. And they've said that about a multitude of players like Noni Madueke, Nicholas Jackson, etc. But I'm glad that they're not actively trying to sell him. He's not being listed. It's not like he's not been, taken away from the current squad and been left at Cobham to be sold like a lot of the other players that we want to sell this summer. Very, very happy with that. And I really do hope that Trevor Chalobah stays as part of Chelsea's defence, because honestly, the experience is invaluable. For the fans, we love Trevor Chalobah. He bleeds blue. We want to keep him as long as possible. He's a fantastic defender. And I feel like he is happy doing that bit part role. He is happy being part of the start 11. He is just a super professional that will do the role and the job that he's given. No questions asked. And recently, Trevor Chalobah even spoke out saying, look, I love playing for the club. I want to stay for as long as possible. I still have X amount of years left in my contract. I'm not even listening to the outside noise. I just want to play for Chelsea. So I rate that from Maresca coming out publicly saying that. And we love Trevor Chalobah. But I'm very interested to know your thoughts down below regarding Trevor Chalobah. Do you think Chelsea will keep him? Or do you think that Chelsea will try and sell him for a profit later on in the transfer window? Ben Jacobs also reported that Andrey Santos is attracting interest from several clubs, including Bayern Munich. Santos would likely have to agitate for a move to happen, as Chelsea do not wish to sell. Santos is expected to get more opportunities once he has acclimatised. And this is just kind of reimbursing or sort of reinforcing what Enzo Maresca said in the press conference earlier in the video, that Chelsea are very quick to say, like, we're not going to, they said this months ago, Bayern Munich are interested, we know this. Other clubs are interested in Andrey Santos. There was a number of 50, 60 million floating around. It's a very attractive offers, but Chelsea come out instantly and said, he's not for sale. He's an important part of Chelsea's first team next season, and that's what it's going to remain as. And even recently, when he's not been getting as many minutes throughout the group stages of the Club World Cup, there was a lot of Chelsea fans that were like, why are you not playing him? Why are you not giving him the opportunity? He needs to be playing minutes. He's going to be sold. That's it. And I get the fans' fear. I really, really do, because we've seen this many times, and then we see Chelsea force players out, right? We've seen this. It happened last summer with the likes of Conor Gallagher, and they tried it with Trevor Chalobah and Ben Chilwell, etc. So I get the fears, but I mentioned in a few videos ago about Andrey Santos, I don't feel worried that we're going to sell him, because as of right now, I actually resonate with what Enzo Maresca saying. He needs to acclimatise. He's had a great development season. He needs to learn the tactics. He will get opportunities, and like I mentioned previously in the video, there are multiple of avenues of him to get minutes, and I feel like he will seize his opportunity and he'll get a good run of games under Maresca. He's going to be a fantastic player, and I know that Chelsea are going to keep him. They're going to bat away any sort of interest, and hopefully they stick to their word. I feel like they will. I feel like if they do sell Andrey Santos, it would be an absolute uproar from the fans, and it kind of reinforces this whole profit over project type thing that everyone speaks about. And Andrey Santos will be staying. Andrey Santos will get minutes, and I'm glad that even Andrey Santos himself is like, I just want to play football, I want to play for Chelsea, I want to fight for my position. We can't ask for more than that. All us fans are going to ask for is to give him as many opportunities as possible. Tonight we play Benfica. Enzo Fernandez played a lot of minutes in the last group stage game. In theory, we could see an Andrey Santos start. I personally think that Maresca will go for Caicedo and Enzo to start with our strongest 11. But again, it's a prime opportunity for Santos to come on and get minutes. And again, if he takes the opportunity, it just keeps raising his profile in terms of the pecking order and gives Enzo Maresca the headache. And that's what we want as fans. We want Enzo Maresca to have a headache in balancing that midfield with such a strong rotation that we have available. That's essentially a good problem to have, rather than last season when all we did is play Enzo Caicedo, because we had no one else. it's just such a stark difference on last year to this year. But again, would love to know your thoughts about Andrey Santos. Do you think he's going to get many opportunities across this across the season? Do you feel like he's going to get limited minutes? Do you still feel like Chelsea are going to try and push him out this summer window and sell him? Or do you feel like he will actually be a vital part of the first team squad? The Guardian Sport have reported that sources close to Josh Acheampong have privately said that suggestions he is frustrated are incorrect. He will only go on loan if he agrees with the club that it is best for his development, but the long-term plan remains for him to thrive at Chelsea. And again, this is one thing I really do like about the club. When something comes out, a lot of rumours, rather than let it build and not say anything, they come out quickly and they squash it. Josh Acheampong, apparently Dortmund were coming in for around £35 million. I was, one of the fans saying, I hope that we don't sell him. He's a fantastic... I spoke about Josh even in this video. He's such a good talent. I don't need to reiterate that. We all know that, right? But it's nice to know that the club of... Maresca's come out and said, no, he's staying here. Yes, clubs are interested. He's a great player, but he is part of our plans. And then we've also had reports from, supposedly from sources close to Josh Acheampong that are saying, that's just all waffle, mate. He's happy. And the only reason he would leave Chelsea is if him and the club decide that it's best for his development. That is the best decision. And there's such a level-headed, rational decision from Josh to say, well, if it is best for development and I'm going to get more minutes, but I'm still going to come back to Chelsea and play because of the pathway, which is the reason he signed his contract extension. He wanted guarantee in terms of the right back pathway. He didn't want any guarantees in terms of playing first team football. He just wanted that pathway to be guaranteed, because at the time we had Gusto and Reece James. And at the time of the sort of contract negotiations, they were both playing well. And he was saying, well, I don't see a way for me to get into the first team. Now, obviously, across this season, through the Conference League and other competitions, and even the Premier League when he's needed, he's come in and seized his opportunity. And Maresca's gone, this guy is special. And we can all see it as fans. So I like the fact that Maresca said it publicly, and supposedly sources close to Josh have also come out and reiterated, like, no. This is all waffle. He is here to stay. But again, we'd love to know your thoughts about Josh Acheampong. Do you think that a lot of this is just media storm just to try and get clicks and impressions? Do you feel like there's an element of truth to it because a conversation's been had between people? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Fabrizio Romano has reported that Chelsea are not among the clubs in active talks to sign Emiliano Martinez. Chelsea respect him, but their focus is on different positions. Again, very glad that this has come out and been squashed, because I'm in two minds when it comes to Emiliano Martinez. Yes, he's an upgrade in Sanchez. I think he's a good keeper, right? But I still don't think he's good enough to play with the ball at his feet, which is what someone that Maresca wants in his between the sticks, to kind of essentially be that third centre-back, second centre-back, fourth centre-back when we are pushing up and inverting at times, right? Being so comfortable playing out from the back, always giving that extra option. I just don't see Martinez being that guy. And a lot of you guys in the comments were saying that he's still living off the hype from the World Cup. And I kind of see it to a point. I'm not, throwing shade at Emmy. He is a good goalkeeper, I feel. Like I said, an upgrade on Sanchez and Jorgensen. But I'm kind of glad that Chelsea aren't going for him, because also the other thing that is attached to that is the price tag that Villa were putting up with Emiliano Martinez was around £35-40 million, which I personally think is just a lot of money for a goalkeeper, period. And if Chelsea was squabbling over 3 or 4 million to go sign Big Mike, even though he had 12 months left on his contract, but in my opinion is a miles better goalkeeper that can play with the ball at his feet very comfortably, I don't see a world where Chelsea go spend 35-40 million on someone like Martinez, who can't play with the ball at his feet at the same level and is like nearly double the price. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So again, this is another rumour that's been squashed. Hopefully it stays that way. It was just exciting to talk about Emiliano Martinez because, again, it's an upgrade on Sanchez. But again, does he really fit? There's also rumours of Ter Stegen as well, and I'd much rather go for someone like Ter Stegen, who's older, can play with the ball at his feet, isn't really getting that choice at Barcelona because there's like 4 goalkeepers all on rotation, which is a bit wild when you think about it. But yeah, in terms of Martinez, I'm glad this door has been shut. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Martinez. Do you think this is a good idea to go for someone like him and pay that £35-40 million because he's an upgrade on Sanchez? Or are you glad that this has kind of been squashed and Chelsea are not focusing on Martinez and just focusing on other positions? Very curious to know your thoughts. Ben Jacobs and TalkSport have reported that Estevao wants to play as a number 10 and Chelsea are exploring forwards. This is very interesting to me anyway, and I hope it is to you guys as well. I'm so excited to see Estevao come to Chelsea, and I feel like I've spoken about this many times, and I feel like you guys are, majority kind of agree. Like, he's not going to just slot straight into our team. He's going to obviously have that adjustment period. He's got to get used to the Premier League, the way that Enzo Maresca wants to play, and the tactics of things. We're hoping that he doesn't sort of like clip his wings, essentially, because Estevao is that maverick type of player that you give him to the ball and just see what happens. Yes, obviously there's going to be systematic things that he's going to have to do for the team, but we want him to be that maverick type player. Now, it come out a long time ago that Chelsea promised Estevao that number 10 in terms, not the number itself, but in terms of playing, that number 10 playing role. And we know that Estevao currently plays on the right wing, and he's very good at it. Very exciting at that. I personally feel like across this season we're going to see him in rotation with the right wingers of Neto and Madueke, and it will be Estevao as well. And obviously Madueke and Neto will potentially be split across the left and the right wing also. But we're going to see that rotation to bed Estevao in on that right hand side. It's going to be very exciting to see. But I also see him as a perfect backup for Cole Palmer when it's needed. When Palmer needs to come off, he needs to be rested. When we've just needed something fresh, something to rotate, we could put Estevao in that number 10 role and just see what he does. And hopefully he just lights up the Premier League, and he really does kind of continue the form that he's in currently at such a young age, which is wild to think about. So I'm glad that Estevao wants to play on that 10. He knows he can play on that right very, very well. Chelsea have also promised him that sort of 10 role in future across his Chelsea career, which I think is a bit of a bold movement, but I think it also makes a lot of sense because you're keeping the player happy before he's even got here. But the player then understands he's got to fight for his place, earn his stripes, essentially. He can play very well on the right, and that's how we can bed him in. Then you can play in that 10 role. But very curious to know your thoughts down below regarding Estevao Willian. Are you excited to see him play in a Chelsea shirt? Do you think he's going to play better in that 10 role or on that right wing position? And do you agree with my analysis in that he would be in rotation on the right and will also get opportunities in that 10? Or do you think he's going to start as a rotation for Cole Palmer in that 10 role exclusively? Ben Jacobs also reported that Joao Felix is drawing interest from Nawam FC in Saudi Arabia. Hopefully I pronounced that right. This is very interesting in my opinion because look, Chelsea have made it very clear that Joao Felix is off in this summer transfer window, and whether we get break even, take a loss, whatever it is, Chelsea are going to want the right amount of money for Joao Felix. Now the problem with Joao Felix is he's been bouncing around Europe for so much in the last few years that he can't really settle anywhere. It seems like it's just all about agent fees and seeing what clubs are going to pay the most to keep other people's pockets fat. And Joao Felix is just, I kind of feel for him, but he's just being bounced around and playing bit part football here and there. He come to Chelsea and he was like, oh, you guys, I love this place. I come on here on loan and you guys accepted me instantly. I love it. And then 6 months later, he's loaned out to AC Milan. Goes to AC Milan. He's like, I'm hoping that I can stay here in the, past the summer because I've been very welcomed here. Again, you think he scored in the first and last game that he played for Milan. It hasn't been a great loan spell. Milan were like, we don't want to keep you past them. So AC Milan have confirmed that Joao Felix has returned to Chelsea. He's obviously not included in the Club World Cup squad. Maresca's made it very clear that his type of profile, or it was a type of profile he didn't want to bring in the summer, but we know it was a make weight for the Conor Gallagher deal, right? We just know that now. It's very, very evident. So when you have Saudi Arabian interest, for Chelsea, that's going to be like, oh, okay, how much are you willing to pay? Because that's where we can either break even or try and make a profit with Saudi transfer money. So we could quite easily ask for like a 60, 70 million. And I feel like a Saudi Arabian club will go yes, because Joao Felix is still very young in terms of football age, but the experience he has is mountainous. He's been around for such a long time. And he's played for a myriad of clubs, Barcelona, Milan, Benfica, Chelsea. He's been everywhere. So it's just very interesting to me that Saudi Arabia are now thinking about Joao Felix, because for him, he can make a load of money. His agent will be rubbing his hands together because he can make a load of money. Chelsea can then make the profit on him, and Felix will actually get some consistent football. And even if he just goes to Saudi Arabia for a little while and then comes back, he's still young enough to do that. Go grab generational wealth and still finish his career within Europe. Whether he decides to bounce around club to club or not is a different story. Whether he decides to actually find a team that actually wants him and he settles in, again, different story. But I would be very curious to know your thoughts down below regarding Joao Felix. Do you feel like he should be kept by Chelsea and given another chance next season? Do you feel like we should take whatever offer Saudi Arabia come in with because it's more likely going to be profit? And let me know your overall thoughts about Joao Felix as a player. Is he a Chelsea level player? Do you feel like he would be more settled anywhere else in Europe? Very curious to know your thoughts. Ed Aarons has reported that Brighton have rejected bids from Newcastle and Chelsea in excess of £50 million for Joao Pedro. Talks are ongoing. Sky Sports' Keith then reported that Chelsea were in talks with Brighton over Joao Pedro as well as Newcastle, and Brighton won around £60 million. And then Fabrizio Romano also reported, let's not forget Chelsea's interest in Joao Pedro. Newcastle are trying to anticipate other clubs and are working on a deal, but I can confirm once again that Chelsea like this player and think he could be one of their attacking solutions in the next few days or weeks. Again, this is where Chelsea move wild in the transfer market, at least in my opinion. I don't see why we would spend £60 million on Joao Pedro. I personally don't see it. I think Joao Pedro is a good player. He's had a half-decent season. His numbers aren't great, and I know that football isn't just about numbers. It's about profiles and systems and how well they can play for certain managers and certain teams. I get that. I feel like he is a good footballer. He's very good technically. But £60 million, I just feel like it's a lot of money for Joao Pedro. And Chelsea historically, other than sort of Cucurella and Caicedo, Brighton players and Chelsea in the transactions, we just play overinflated prices all the time, and that's Brighton's model. They get players in that no one's ever heard of for very low fees. They do well in the Premier League, and then they sell them for massive fees, and clubs pay it, right? Clubs just pay it. I don't know what I feel about the Joao Pedro move. Again, I feel like he could be one of the solutions to the attacking problems that we have, but at the same time, we missed out on Big Nick from Stuttgart. He's been agreed for Bayern. I would have much rather paid that sort of money for a player like him. He looks like a Dimitar Berbatov regen. He looks incredible, right? So when you watch clips and highlights and even watch him play in the under-21s, you think, wow, what a player. I've never really watched Joao Pedro and gone, oh, wow, what a player. He has had some good finishes and good patterns of play, and he is a good player, but I've never gone, wow, we need him. Especially for £60 million. It's a big asking price, at least in my opinion. You look at the other sort of attacking prospects we've looked at so far or been linked with. You've got Hugo over at Frankfurt. Again, that's £84 million. He had a good return, 22 goals, 12 assists in 48 appearances. Very good return. But again, it's that Bundesliga to Premier League conversion. It doesn't really translate very well in the history of Chelsea and that sort of transfers. And I wouldn't want to pay £84 million for him. So he is a cheaper option to someone like Hugo. But I just don't understand. Like, he has Premier League experience, I suppose. He is a good player. I'm not saying that he isn't. I just don't see him being that solution for Chelsea. And again, happy to be proven wrong, but I just feel like £60 million or even $50 million plus the add-ons is just a little too much for a player of Joao Pedro's standards right now. Now, if he had a better return last year, or he was, tearing trees up, then fair enough. You pay for what you get. But like I said, as of right now, I just feel like it's a bit steep. Maybe 45 million, I'd be like, okay, cool. And I know there's not a lot of money in that. It's a 5 million difference. But then, equivalent to add-ons, etc. I feel like it's a lot more manageable. It's a lot more of an acceptable fee. And I just don't want Chelsea to keep paying inflated prices this summer. And we're trying to do as much as we can as a club to dig our heels in and take a step back and not pay any sort of taxes that clubs want to kind of add on because we're Chelsea. But very curious to know your thoughts down below regarding Joao Pedro. Do you feel like Chelsea should go for him? Do you feel like £60 million is justified for someone like Joao Pedro? Do you think he can be a solution to Chelsea's attacking problems now we have Delap and Jackson? Let me know your thoughts. Very curious to understand where you are with Joao Pedro. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.